Hi, I'm Charlie Starr. The video you are about to watch is part of my free course, How to Read a Birth Chart. Signing up is easy. Simply subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell, and shoot me an email to the address in the description box below, letting me know you want to be enrolled. I will reply with a welcome email, including the syllabus and other free course materials. Then head on over to my channel page and find the How to Read a Birth Chart free course playlist. Hit play and follow the step-by-step instructions to become a true birth chart master. And now, back to this video. Hey guys, and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the rising sign. We are going through all of the planets in astrology, and the rising sign is not a planet. It is a particular aspect point in the birth chart, but it is so important and so fundamental that I decided to throw it in here because we've already done the sun sign video and the moon sign video, and the last point in the birth chart that makes up your big three in astrology is the rising sign, also known as hashtag SMR, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So in this video, we're going to talk about the rising sign and the effects that the rising sign has on a particular person and how it's interpreted in the birth chart as a part of the series, How to Read a Birth Chart. Let's get right into it. Okay, what is the rising sign astronomically? So first of all, the rising sign on the birth chart is going to be in the middle of the birth chart on the far left. I'll put a picture up here so you can see. It's going to be marked by the letters AC, that stands for the ascendant. So the rising sign is the same as your ascendant sign. These are two terms for the exact same thing. What does it actually mean? What it means is this is the sign that was on the horizon when you were born. The most important thing that you need to know is that your ascendant sign is your marker of the horizon line, and whatever sign is on your ascendant is going to be your rising sign or your ascendant sign. What does the rising sign represent in your personal chart? Excellent question. A good analogy for this would be you're driving down a road and the road is called life, and the vehicle that you are driving is your rising sign. This is essentially the dashboard that's in front of you through which everything that you're perceiving and experiencing is coming through. This is your filter on life. This is your door through which everybody and everything in your entire life accesses you. This is the infiltration point, and as such, this is very significant in several ways. Number one, it's going to have an influence on your body. So the rising sign does in some ways represent your physical form because your body is essentially your vehicle, external vessel through which everything that you interact with must go through. As you're going about your life, there is thousands upon thousands of stimulation and information hitting you all at once. And as you've probably noticed by now, everybody sort of picks up on different things in their environment. Two people can be looking at the exact same picture and get wildly different interpretations out of it, and also wildly different things that they're noticing about that picture that they're looking at. And they're looking at the exact same picture. So the rest of your life is exactly the same as this. So the rising sign is actually a filter that determines subconsciously what information you find important to notice, okay? So all of this incoming stimuli is coming right at you, and it is your rising sign that filters out what is important, what is not important, what do we actually notice, what do we prioritize, what are we seeing when we look at this. So number one, the rising sign has that huge influence on you. This is essentially determining your own personal reality. This also translates to your perspective on life, because your perspective on life is going to be a feedback loop that influences what things you notice, what things you find important to notice, and then in fact, what you notice then is going to influence, again, the feedback loop, what it is that you find important to notice, and how you perceive your entire reality. Second of all, this also influences our processing center. So this is not just the infiltration center that everything comes through, and it doesn't just filter out what information you're receiving, but then once you receive that information, this is also the mechanism whereby you categorize and process that information. This is going to be the part of your mind that organizes and makes sense of your surroundings. How do you know what your rising sign is? You're going to need to know what time you were born in order to calculate your rising sign. That's because there are 24 hours in a day and there are 12 zodiac signs. So the sign that's on the horizon changes every 2 hours. If you just know a rough estimate and you look up that rough estimate and the ascendant marker is somewhere in the middle of that sign, you can have a pretty good idea that that rising sign is going to be accurate. There are also rectification processes, so you can go to an astrologer and have an astrologer rectify your chart. Essentially what that means is if you don't know what time you were born, that astrologer will probably ask you a lot of questions about your life and then use that to determine what your rising sign is. Also, another way that you can do this is in ancient times, the rising sign was considered the same as the sun sign, because if you didn't know what time you were born, which most people didn't know what time they were born, you went by what the sign was on the beginning of that day, which would always mean that what sign was on the horizon when the sun rose is going to be the sun sign. So that's another thing that you can do, is use your sun sign as your rising sign, play with it, see if it checks out for you. It often does, and that is also a reason why in my videos, and a lot of people in their videos, when they're doing forecasts for the rising sign, they will say you can use your sun sign or your rising sign for this forecast. Because if people don't know what their rising sign is, I believe there are no coincidences. In that being the case, go ahead and use your sun sign as the rising sign. This is an old technique, and in a lot of times it does check out. The rising sign is also said to represent the things that we aspire or rise to be. If you learn about your rising sign and you think, wow, those are amazing qualities, I really wish that I could be like that, chances are you probably are like that, but people are more likely to learn about their rising sign and think that their aspirational goals are to be more of their rising sign rather than the sun sign. People tend to have more mixed feelings about their sun sign. It does tend to be a sign that people aspire to be more like, and it does tend to describe qualities that that person is rising to master. The rising sign is an important indicator of your chart ruler. Whatever sign is on your horizon, the planet that rules that sign actually is the ruling planet of your entire chart. This planet becomes significant in your birth chart, and we will read the chart ruler and its position with a special attention. And additionally, this is a planet that people most resonate with as themselves. So when transits are made to this planet, or in the sky, when transits are happening with this planet, most likely you are going to experience yourself as that planet. So this is a planet that you essentially resonate with because this is the planet that rules your entire chart. This is, again, a part of you that you essentially internalize as yourself. Because the rising sign plays a role in how we process information, it shares some characteristics with your Mercury sign and where Mercury is in your birth chart. That's another thing that we look at when we are trying to understand how somebody processes information and gain insight into that part of their lives. In the next video, we'll be going over Mercury and what Mercury indicates in the personal birth chart. So if you're interested in learning more, go ahead and keep watching. If you like this video, be sure and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so you can get all the juicy information about the planets, what they mean in your charts, and other fun astrology and tarot related content. Thanks for watching.